Okay, so I want to talk about gangster rap and the purpose of gangster rap, why it exists, and how it's been used to stereotype black men. Okay, so there's going to be political science into this video. I've been studying political science for over 12 years. I've been studying history for over 12 years. I've studied systematic racism for over 12 years. So if there's anybody who can break this topic down, it's me. All right, so the whole purpose of gangster rap was to criminalize black men as violent, or stereotype black men as violent, and to stereotype black men as criminals. That was the purpose of gangster rap. Okay, so all right, let's just get into the topic. So before the gangster stereotype, right? Because ultimately gangster rap was about promoting the idea that black men are violent criminals. That's the point of why gangster rap exists, right? So gangster rap as a genre, right? Gangster rap as a genre started in the 1990s. Okay, now the roots of gangster rap goes back to NWA, 1988. Okay, but the gangster rap genre starts in the 1990s. Okay, particularly with the Dr. Dre album, the Chronic album that dropped in 1992. So really, the gangster rap genre starts in 1992, but the roots of it goes back to the late 80s, 1988 with the NWA album. Okay, but I want to back things up. I want to go back more into history. I want to talk because the gangsta, before gangster rap, before the gangsta stereotype, right? Black men were portrayed as criminals. So the gangsta stereotype, the thug stereotype, is a piggyback off of the general criminal stereotype that was applied to black men going back to 1865. So black men have been stereotyped as criminals in America since the 1800s, the mid 1800s, starting in 1865. 1865 was the beginning of Reconstruction. Reconstruction, okay, starts in 1865. Okay, Reconstruction was the beginning of the end of slavery. Now I want to make it clear that slavery, during the chattel slavery period, there was no stereotype about black men as being criminals. So the criminalization of black men begins in Reconstruction. During slavery, which is before Reconstruction, there was no stereotype in America that suggested that black men were criminals. That was the only time in American history where black men were free of the criminal stereotype, was during slavery. After slavery, that was when the stereotyping of black men being criminals began. Okay, and the form of criminality that was applied or labeled on black men was rapists. Okay, so being a rapist was the first form of stereotyping of black men. That was the first criminal stereotyping of black men. Okay, that black men were rapists, rapists of white women. Okay, so that became the stereotype after slavery. Okay, mass media, the federal government. Okay, newspapers, tabloids were trying to put fear. Okay, they were trying to put fear in white women to be afraid of black men. Okay, so mass media created the stereotype that black men are rapists. So that's been a dominant stereotype about black men since the end of slavery, was that black men are aggressive, sociopathic, menacing men, okay, that are threatening to white women. That's why in the 50 years between 1889 and 1941, over 3,800 black men were murdered in America. Okay, so between 1889 and 1941, in those 50 years, over 3,800 black men were murdered in America because they were perceived as threatening. Either they were murdered because white men assumed that those black men were going to rape a white woman, or many of those black men were accused of raping a white woman. Okay, but all in all those black men who were murdered between 1889 and 1941, in those 50 years, were murdered because they were perceived as being threatening. All right. And again, in those 50 years, 1889 to 1941, over 3,800 black men were murdered in America. So between 1865 and the 1960s, okay, the dominant stereotype about black men is that we were rapists. Okay, that was the first form of criminalization, okay, that was a label or associated to black men through the media. Okay, then by the 70s and 1980s, the next stereotype that was associated to black men was the drug dealer stereotype and the thief stereotype. So in the 70s and 80s, that was when black men was portrayed as thieves and as drug dealers. Okay, so prior to the 70s and 80s, okay, black men were not known as thieves and drug dealers, just rapists of white women. Okay, so I'm just trying to put everything into context. Then when the 1990s roll around, that became another stereotype. That was the thug stereotype. So that's when gangster rap comes into play in the 1990s. Okay, so black men were being criminalized throughout entertainment, from Hollywood to the music industry. Black men were being stereotyped as gangsters, thugs. Okay, now in this video, I'm talking specifically about the music business. Okay, now in the year 1988, NWA dropped their first album, Straight Outta Compton. When NWA dropped their first album, Straight Outta Compton, in 1988, that was when the federal government used the opportunity to classify black men as thugs and gangsters. That's why they created the term gangster rap. Okay, so I'm making it clear that the reason why mass media came up with the term gangster rap was for a very specific reason. That was very intentional. It was very intentional for mass media to label NWA's music as gangster rap. The whole purpose of naming NWA's music as gangster rap was to start the criminal stereotype that black men were gangsters and thugs, and that's why and how that came about. Now, what black people have to remember is that mass media is a communication channel, okay, from the federal government to the white community. So whenever the federal government wants to relay information to the white community, they use mass media. Very, very important that we understand this. Mass media, the sole purpose of why mass media exists is to give the federal government a communication channel to the white community. So whenever the federal government wants to send a message to the white community, they send it through mass media. Okay? So keep that in mind. Mass media is just a communication device or the communication channel between the federal government and the larger white community. Okay. So when mass media was labeling NWA's music as gangster rap, and every news headline is about gangster rap, as it was when you look at the 90s was all about gangster rap, right? It was all about gangster rap. Headlines, stuff, everything was about gangster rap. And the reason why gangster rap was blasted all over the news, the reason why, mass media was so big on this whole gangster rap was because they were trying to send a message to white people, okay, to start looking at black people as thugs and gangsters. They wanted, mass media was trying to encourage white people to start looking at black men as gangsters and thugs. That was the purpose of why mass media came up with the term gangster rap in 1988. Now, the word gangster, the word thug, is designed to replace the word nigger. Let me get this part out of the way. Let me get this part out of the way. Okay? So, the new word to refer to black people, or particularly black men, the new word to replace the word nigger is gangster. Gangster, thug, it's the new nigger word. In terminology, the new nigger in terminology is gangster and thug. So when the mass media came up, and it was mass media who coined the term gangster rap. It was all mass media. NWA never referred to themselves as gangster rappers. Eazy-E never referred to himself as the godfather of gangster rap. Okay, these labels, these titles were applied to them by mass media. Okay, so it was racist mass media who came up with these terms. And so when mass media came up with the word gangsta, and they were trying to encourage white people to start referring to black men as gangsters and thugs, opposed to nigger. Nigger is a old racist word. Okay, nigger belongs, the word nigger belonged back in the 1960s in the Jim Crow era. Okay, so as the 70s rolled around, the 80s rolled around, the 90s rolled around, it was time to change the wording, right? America was in a process of pretending not to be racist anymore, right? So so mass media was trying to influence white people to change up the language. And so to replace the word nigger, mass media came up with the word gangster rap. And again, the whole purpose of gangster rap was to re-identify black men as thugs and gangsters. Okay, that was the purpose of why mass media came up with the term gangster rap. Was one of the reasons was to encourage white people to start referring to black men as gangsters and thugs, to replace the word nigger. Okay, thug and gangster, okay, are not obviously racist terms, although they are racist terms. They're just not made to look racist on the surface. But thug and gangster, those two words are designed to be racist. Those are racist terms. Okay, that's why they are mostly applied to black people, in particular black men. Nobody else in America is really referred to as gangsters and thugs other than black men. Okay, so gangster, thug are meant to replace the word nigger. Now, the secondary reason why mass media came up with the term gangster rap in 1988, okay, was to create what I call a culture of suspicion around black men. Okay, so A culture of suspicion. I created that term, and that was the intent of why mass media came up with the word or the term gangster rap. They were trying to associate blackness with criminality. They were trying to tangle blackness with thuggery, or they were trying to attach blackness with gangsterism. So that's why mass media came up with the term gangster rap in 1988, was to stereotype black men as criminals, and the criminalization of black men created a what I call a culture of suspicion. This is why black men are considered so suspicious. The reason why so many people like to stare at black people, the reason why so many people, like Asians, Latinos, white folks, the reason why so many people love to keep their eye on black people, in particular black men, is because people are suspicious of us. The reason why so many people are suspicious of us is because, again, we've been stereotyped as criminals. So whenever you're stereotyped whenever you're seen as a criminal, there will be an aura of suspicion around you. Understand this. Understand this. There is an aura of suspicion around black men because we've been so heavily stereotyped as criminals. And there's a fear of black men because of this criminalized stereotype. Matter of fact, to give you guys an example, in 2012, in Sanford, Florida, a 17-year-old black boy named Trayvon Martin was gunned down by a Latino man by the name of George Zimmerman. George Zimmerman shot down Trayvon Martin in Sanford, Florida in 2012, right? Because he was suspicious. That's what George Zimmerman told the police when he called the police on Trayvon Martin. He said he referred to Trayvon Martin as suspicious because he was a black man, or because he was a black male. All right, Trayvon Martin wasn't quite a man yet, 17 years old, right, on a borderline, but it doesn't matter. Even black boys are white folk, grown white men, grown Asian men are afraid of black boys because black males in general have been stereotyped as criminals. So because of that criminal stereotyping, okay, there's a fear of black males, and that fear has created a culture of suspicion around us, right? And George Zimmerman was 28 when he shot and killed Trayvon Martin. He was 28 years old, right? And so when George Zimmerman was a child, that's when the stereotyping of the criminal stereotyping of black males began. When George Zimmerman was a child. So George Zimmerman had learned from his family, from his Latino community, from what he's seen in mass media, right? Everything in mass media teaches people to be fearful of black males. So George Zimmerman, growing up, have heard and seen the stereotyping of black males. And that led to George Zimmerman shooting and killing Trayvon Martin at the age of 28 back in 2012 in Sanford, Florida. I'm putting all this into context. Now, I want to talk about music videos for a minute. Okay? Now, I want to talk about the real reason, right? The political objective for why gangsta rap music videos exist. I'm talking about gangsta rap music videos. The purpose, now I'm going to break down purpose of why gangster rap music videos exist, right? So the gangster rap music video is designed to give animation to the black male gangster or thug stereotype. So the music video is designed to give visuals to the lyrics. Okay? The whole purpose of gangster rap music videos is to give evidence, is to show evidence, right? Show evidence that black men are counterproductive and criminals. That's the purpose of gangster rap music videos, to show evidence to the world that black men are counterproductive and criminals. That's the purpose of why gangster rap music videos exist. Okay? Again, gangster rap music videos give visuals to the lyrics. So when white folks not only hear the lyrics, they can see the visuals. Okay? Music videos paint the picture. It paints the picture of the lyrics. Now remember, white folks don't understand gangster rap lyrics in the first place because they come from the suburbs. White folks come from the suburbs. They don't understand the inner city lifestyle. They don't understand what happens in the inner city. They don't understand black people who come from the inner city. Okay, so it's bad enough when white folks hear gangster rap, they already don't like black people because they assume that black people, okay, they assume that black people that we or black men that we promote, you know, dysfunctionality, you know. So, you know, all the stuff that they hear in gangster rap, you know, in the music, you know, they assume that's the stuff that rappers promote, right? So when white folks hear gangster rap, they already don't like black men to begin with. Then when they see the music video, they really don't like black men even more because they can see the lyrics. They can see the you know, they can see the what's being talked about in this song. Okay? That's what music videos are designed for. Okay, to give life to the actual lyrics. So in the gangster rap music video, when black men are drinking 40 ounces and sitting around a house or sitting around a brick wall, right? That's made to make black men look counterproductive. These images that are shown in gangster rap music videos are designed to make black men look like criminals. They're designed to make black men look worthless. When in gangster rap videos, right? In gangster rap videos, when you see when the images of black men waving guns and with, you know, mean mugging and you know, being chased around by police officers, when black men are waving bandanas and smoking weed in the music videos, all that stuff is designed to make black men look counterproductive. Gangster rap music videos are designed to stereotype black men. So yeah, I want to make it clear that music videos, gangster rap music videos in particular, are really designed for white people. They're really designed for white people. Okay? Again, the point of gangster rap music videos is to provide evidence to white Americans that black men are criminals and counterproductive and, you know, good for nothing. That's the message. Those are the messages that are sent to white Americans through the gangster rap music videos. This is why Black people have to control our own everything, from media outlets, media channels, you know, music industry, general entertainment business. Like, black people have to create our own independent everything. That way we control our own narrative, and we, control our own image. Because black people do not control media, our own media, because we do not control our own music business, we are not in control of our image. Therefore, white folks who are in control of the image, the public image of black people, they can make us look however they choose to make us look. They can manipulate any situation that they want to make us look bad. And everybody else is going to look at it as truth. This is extremely important that black people understand. We need our own media, and we need to control our own music industry. Okay? It's just all about control. Control of our own self-image. Control of our own self-reputation. Okay? So if you guys are wondering why nobody likes black people, if you guys are wondering, okay, why black people are the most disliked people, why we're the most disliked group in the world, it's because we're so negatively stereotyped, falsely and negatively stereotyped. And the gangsta thug stereotype that comes from mass media, right, is an example of the sabotage of the image and reputation of black males. I hope you guys appreciate the information. I hope you guys appreciate the video. This is Cali Red, Cali with a K, Red with a double D. I'm recording this video in Southern California. All right. I'm in the Inland Empire. The Inland Empire consists of 2 neighboring counties, San Bernardino County. The area code for San Bernardino County is 909, and Riverside County. The area code for Riverside County is 951. All right, so I'm gonna give a special shout out, show some love to all of the black people out in the Inland Empire. Okay, if you are black in Riverside County, California, San Bernardino County, California, shout out to y'all, much love to y'all. Black people in the Inland Empire will rise very, very soon, and we will be the model example for black people around the world. As far as black people around the world, I love you. Until the next video, be safe, stay blessed. Black power.